Hey everybody, today we got a special guest and it's none other than TT the artist. That last word in her name personifies who she is, the artist. She creates her own clothing, filmmaker, make music. What don't you do, TT?
Thank you for the intros. I'm a multi-hyphenate artist, so I feel like all of those things just make me who I am. You know what I'm saying? And I think now we're in a time and space where like that's becoming the way. You know, it's not just focus on one thing, but I'm happy that I just always been multidisciplinary in a lot of the stuff that I've created.
Yeah, because at one point in time, people will tell you, hey, pick one lane and stay in that lane and go there, But since I've been aware of you in Baltimore City, you've done so many different things. How did you come by and ended up in Baltimore?
Well, I was 18 when I moved to Baltimore to go to art college. I went to the Maryland Institute College of Art. So, from 2002 to like 2006, I was in college. And then I graduated. I spent like a couple years in New York, but even when I was in New York, I was going back and forth. So I came back to Baltimore in 2008. And that's really kind of like when I started taking my music career more seriously.
Right. And speaking of your music career, Baltimore club, coming from South Florida, you being used to dance music, and when you saw or heard your first taste of Baltimore club, what did that do for you?
I first heard it when my freshman year, so like fresh landing down and touching down in Baltimore. I heard club music on the radio, and it was very nostalgic for me because I did grow up around Miami bass and dance music, so to me it made me connect with the city more. And then from there, it just was like I was starting to connect with more people in the community, and then it became my community. They became my family. And that was the impact that the club culture had on me because it was always so rooted into the community.
And when we talk about community, you not only made music and toured with your music, but you decided to create a whole label. Let's talk a little bit about Club Queen Records.
So Club Queen Records is a woman-focused record label that's all about pushing women's voices to the forefront in hip hop, dance, R&B, and pop music spaces, with a specific interest in supporting women of color who, are often just not given the same opportunities as, men. And we're really big on encouraging independency and helping women who are trying to put music out with career development and being a support system to really help facilitate and put out the packages that will compete with mainstream artists. So a lot of times women just need that support, and it's all about just increasing that representation in the mainstream music world that we see, because there's just so much more diversity that I think we're currently being exposed to.
And you move different too. You don't move like an independent artist. You've taken everything to another level, even deciding to go to college for art. That's wanting to grow and just get better in every level. We talk here at Curators of Hip Hop, we always highlight people who value their independence and really to the core, like stick to their independence. Because some people they shy away when they hear that independence. They think of working, but it is work. It's all work. Even when you get signed, is work to do. Why was it important for you to create this, especially for women? Because I have 2 daughters and one on the way, so I'm proud of that.
I think it's important because we're just not given the same opportunities. I've been an independent artist for more than 10 years and, performed independently, toured, and even worked with some really big names, men artists in this space of dance music and hip hop, and never was asked to go on tour. Most of the shows that I got for the bigger feature opening artists was because I knew a promoter or my manager was able to get me on the bill. But just the idea of like people not being able to take women seriously to the level where like we can headline tours, we can open up for tours. So I feel that by us creating our own platforms, or in the words of Tyler Perry, while they were waiting for a seat at the table, he was building his own.
Right.
We got to show more range in our narratives and in this space of art and Black art, we have to show that range. So that's why I feel like a woman-focused record label is the wave of the future, because women do need special attention sometimes, because we're dealing with a lot more, especially Black women. So they need genuine support where they can really be themselves and authentically who they are.
Right. And when we talk about women in music and we talk about club culture, let's talk about the effect and the impact that K Swift had on you with this music and with your record label.
Well, K Swift was the original club queen and known for bringing exposure to the city of Baltimore as far as the club music scene. So she was on primetime radio and had access to a bigger, wider audience. So she was taking the artists and the producers that were coming from the streets of Baltimore and putting them on the radio. And so in that sense, she was a pioneer, one of the biggest pioneers that was coming out of the city at the time that I was in Baltimore coming up, So, I think that was just a lot of power, and that influenced who I was in the sense where I didn't know her personally. I met her one time and bought one of her mixtapes, but I understood the assignment. I understood like what the mission was. It's not about just one person, but it's about how you can cultivate a community to take them to a higher space and a higher level, and also bring resources back to the city so that people can support their families. And that's why I dived into making my film Dark City Beneath the Beat.
And let's talk about that too. Not too many artists are being able to create documentaries, let alone successful mixtapes and successful tours with their music. You've did the music, been successful in that, and now you ventured over into making film, making a documentary. Our first documentary took 6.5 years, and creating a tour and all of that, like that's difficult within itself. You have a music career, you're designing clothes. Talk about the passion, because I'm gonna tell you, so this is my description. I've been advocating for you in these MICA MFA classes to professors who you've been there, so you already know they're not checking for us, right? So the movie for me is a heartfelt love letter to Baltimore City Club.
Mm-hmm.
And it exposes and enhances the lives of people that have been in club culture for quite some time. The people I know, and up and coming, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is for me. It was truly a love letter. I told Neek, I told everybody, man, like I made documentaries, but I couldn't have did that because that was truly from the heart, and it was an artistic piece too. Tell me the impact of that for you to complete it, because you not only directed the film, you edited the film. I hate editing. Oh my God, you did both. How was that process for you?
It was very rigorous and very ambitious. I mean, you're essentially trying to document a culture that's been around here for 30 years or so, and you're also not a native of the city, but you are of the city. Like, I don't understand sometimes when people try to say stuff like, oh, if you're not from Baltimore, because I mean, you have people who were born and raised in the city that never dedicated certain time into their own culture. So
Come on now, or community. Let's not be fake.
I don't really look at it as it's whether you're from the city or not. I look at it as Black art, and we have to document our history and our herstory. And some people decide to take it on and carry the weight of the world on their shoulders because they can handle it, and others they just can't handle it. So I think that I think I pivoted from the original question, but
no, the original question was the process of making it, because it's not easy to make a film.
Yeah, the process was very rigorous, and like just not having a film school background. I took a few video classes at MICA, but I found out very quick that I wasn't no longer gonna be a video major because they never showed any points of references where I saw myself represented. So I literally was like falling asleep in class. But I got A's on all my video projects because I don't know, I just had a natural intuitiveness to storytelling that I soon realized later on. But the technical stuff was never my thing, so I felt like that was like not what I was interested in talking about in school. I really was all about storytelling. Yeah. And now I found my voice more through my work. So you know, trying to get funding and trying to get people to visualize it, something that's never really been done in this way was the most challenging thing because, you know, one, you don't have a whole bunch of references of your work to show, and two, you know, you're just trying to figure out how do you get the funding and support. So I figured it out, and like shooting a proof of concept really helped as I was a part of grants, you know, so having something to show people, even if it's not on the highest level, it gives them a glimpse of the feeling. And as long as you can capture that emotion, I think that's how people will like tend to like buy into the idea and concepts and hopefully get behind you and support it.
You dropped a couple of Jews there. I want to touch on one because when we talk about filmmakers, well, not a lot of filmmakers of color know how to go out and get those grants. How was that process for you?
It took about 2 years or 3 years, you know, when the grants started becoming available that were, you know, substantial enough. You know, I was pitching, but, you know, they were thinking that the amount of money I was pitching for was actually too little for what I was trying to achieve. So that's when I reformatted my presentation. And, you know, from there, it kind of opened the doors because I kind of understood now, like, what a budget should look like.
Right.
So I think I wrote all my grants myself, and at times I had friends of mine read it, proofread it, friends of mine who had written grants and gotten them, give me feedback. So you can also now hire a grant writer, you know, but you got to do your due diligence and you got to know what's out there. And if you really want something done, there's nothing that's going to stop you. You just got to do it. You know, the other steps will unfold as you continue to put one foot in front of the other.
So you wrote your own grants, directed this film, and listen, those are all different jobs. And let's not forget, like, you produced this too, even though your name, like, come on.
I'm an executive producer.
Yeah, okay. Like, how do you, man, listen, I don't think people understand this. Now we're talking from a film perspective right now. Those are 4 different jobs: executive producer, finding the talent, finding the money, writing the grants. That's a whole nother job. Directing the film, being on the ground. Nah, I want this shot this way, like that. And then at the end of it, editing the film. My God.
And they told me to get a second editor, like my grant directors, but I was like, well, and they said they could help with it. I was like, well, if you guys can find a Black editor, then we can have that discussion. Because I really think the eyes of which I was telling the story from was coming from, you know, my culture.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think people can have a grasp on all the technical stuff, you know, they want, but I truly felt it was important for me to edit because it was my experience. And, you know, I knew I was going to have to go back in and rework things anyway with another editor. So, but that was also part of the process, is learning a lot. Now I can, like, going into a project, I know how to create a treatment and look for the editor that has the style that I'm looking to execute for my next project. So I'll still be, you know, directing and guiding that process, but it's okay to give up some of that to the people who really, really do this. And I do it, but, you know, I don't always have the time to edit the whole film.
Right. That definitely is time consuming editing, man. I'm at awe, man. Like, that is a lot of love. That is a lot of labor. That is a lot of time. And look, you could have stopped there, but you didn't.
Right.
You said, fuck it, let's go another step further. Hey, Issa, this is what I got. Talk to me. How did it get to Issa Rae? How did you get this film to her?
Well, I feel like we've kind of built a relationship through her show because I was featured on every soundtrack. And then we started talking on Twitter. And anytime
I'm sorry, I'm not just gonna let you slide like that. You just do that. I'm featured on every soundtrack. Like, hell, independent artist.
Yeah.
Come on now.
Yeah, I'm an independent artist.
Featured on every soundtrack in her shows and all that.
Well, yeah, and it was really me, just like, if they asked for one song, I sent them a whole catalog. So really understanding how to, you know, create an opportunity, not just always wait for one. And when I would go to LA, I would reach out to the music supervisors and just be like, hey, you know, can I stop by your offices and talk to you about the next season so I can make music in that space? And then from there, when I started transition to LA, I met Princess Penny, the showrunner, who told me about their shadow directing program. So I ended up shadow directing an episode of season 4. And that's when I met Denise Davis, the supervising producer, who then was like, I want to see a film, because Denise checked me out and did some research. and she saw the trailer and screener, and then she showed it to Issa, and then that's when we started to develop a different relationship as them being my management and me being an artist and director under development under their umbrella. So everything worked out, you know. I'm super, super happy and excited about the future for myself and for everybody who's been involved with, you know, the projects and who will now continue to be involved with the projects that, you know, I'm doing to represent our people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a soulful film. And for people who haven't seen it, we're talking about Dark City Beneath the Beat. And if you haven't watched it, you can just go to Netflix. It's been trending. Let's make it trend again. And if you want to check it out on social media, can you give them socials?
Yes. If you guys want to follow us and see, you know, what's coming up, events, I mean, everything from Baltimore Club Dance Workshops, Vogue Dance Workshops. Our artists and talent are just getting spread all over television now. One of our artists was featured in the last season of Pose. So you can find us at Dark City Be More. That's the film page. And I'm TT the Artist, and Club Queen Records. Like, those are the social handles. And if you watch the film on Netflix now streaming, you'll see like the unfolding of all these beautiful, amazing happenings.
Nice. Hey, TT, I just want to salute you on behalf of Curators of Hip Hop for being an exceptional, independent, hard-working woman who are telling not only your story, her story, but everybody's story. You know, when we look at film and we think about it, you know, you're absolutely right. I'm in those classes you were in, and all of our frame of references are Caucasians. You know, when you watch Criterion is just starting to show Black films, you know. So I mentioned your film because every film that we watched this semester was by old white people, and I'm good, you know. Yo, salute to you, because at the end of the day, anything that you want to do, you can do. You just got to work hard at it, and you show people. You said something. You said you went to LA, reached out to the music directors of these projects and asked them, can you have a meeting? Instead of sending a song, you send a catalog. That's a hustle. Where'd you get that from?
I mean, I just, you know, grew up seeing parents that worked all the time. You know, the work ethic been instilled in me. And, you know, even when I got to college, you know, I felt like, you know, I would love to teach a Black cinema, you know, course at MICA or any school, or do a workshop, a class for filmmakers. But, you know, we're going to get into all that in the future, because the next classes of independent filmmaking are coming.
Okay.
That's definitely thing that I'm working on, so that I could share the knowledge, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think, you know, just the work ethic been in me.
What else next is for you? What's next for you?
So just next, you know, to summarize it all, is just, you know, I'm riding the wave of Dark City. There's talks of Dark City 2, which I feel that will definitely be 10 times even better, because I have so much more access to things. And we'd even talk about expanding the concept, you know, into other regions, you know, and other it might be a whole series where we're going to different regions that showcase Black music, Black art, Black street form styles of dance. That's something that I'm developing. And then also, you know, working on a couple short films and my first feature film script. You know, I'm definitely diving into screenwriting now. And of course, music, Club Queen Anthems, my new album I'm working on, and Club Queens Volume 3, which is a compilation project we drop every year that we focus on women artists in the dance music space, specifically Black women. And Club Queens 2, Club Queen 1 is currently available on all music digital platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, Tidal, etc. So yeah, go run them numbers up.
Come on now, you need it all. Hey, look, I got to get my daughter one of them Club Queen hats, though. They fire. You gonna sign that for me?
Sure. I got you. Just let me know.
That's what I'm talking about. Hey, everybody, this is TT the Artist. If you don't know now. Dark City Beneath the Beat on Netflix. Oh, and get that soundtrack too. That soundtrack fire. How we gonna forget that? That soundtrack is fire. Executive produced by Mighty Mark and TT the Artist. Hey, a lot of music, a lot of things. You like soul music? That's what it is. Music for the soul.